Hey everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete here, and this is my series, Nails in a Coffin, where we learn that with great kills, there must also come great nails. If you are new here, please read what Nails in a Coffin is all about in the section down below, because these videos really on film reviews, rather a breakdown of the kills and evaluate how well that victim responded to their attack, using a Nails in a Coffin like a star rating system. You saw the title of this video. I'm covering George Romero's Day of the Dead, released in 1985. I recently covered, of course, Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead here on Nails in a Coffin. Here's a look at those films' average nails in a coffin. Night of the Living Dead had an average of 1.71 nails, and Dawn coming in slightly lower with an average of 1.5 nails in a coffin. Now, with Dawn of the Dead, since it was lower, because the highest rating I gave out in that film was 2 nails in a coffin. But Night of the Living Dead had 2 people who got 3 nails or higher, which got that average up. And, of course, one of those people was, of course, Ben, which I believe I gave 3.5 nails in a coffin. At the end of last week's video, I guessed that Day of the Dead would have an average of 1.53 nails. So let's get to it and find out how it gets nailed. Grab a seat in your bunker, sit back and relax, and let's let the nailing begin. Of course, you've seen this movie, so I'm not going to bore you with everything that happens in this movie, because, again, this is not a film review. We just want to nail those human deaths. So we're going to jump to our first human death, since we don't count zombie deaths on Nails in the Coffin. The first death occurs at just under an hour. Our military team members are collecting zombies for Dr. Logan to experiment on. He wants to figure out how to control them by finding out while they're turning. Well, Private Miguel Salazar has been working exhausted, and now it's a costly mistake. He's wrangling a female zombie and a collar around her neck breaks, freeing the ghoul. So she attacks and bites Private Miller in the throat. This causes him to fire his machine gun wildly, and he accidentally kills Private Johnson in the process. Private Johnson gets the first set of nails, and I'm awarding him 2 nails in a coffin. I didn't see him do anything stupid. He was just doing his job. It wasn't his fault that equipment broke. And when it did, he was already controlling another zombie on a pole. So when the female zombie bit Private Miller, causing him to fire his weapon, Johnson was hit. He wasn't doing anything foolish at the time, just following orders. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And this was much more of a procedural error with them trying to wrangle multiple zombies at the same time. But I can't put much blame on Private Johnson here, which is why he gets 2 nails in the coffin. On to Private Miller. He's on the ground, bleeding out from his gaping neck wound, and he begs, "Don't let this happen to me." And since he doesn't want to turn, so Private Steele does a mercy killing and shoots him in the head. I'm going to give Private Miller 2.5 nails in a coffin. Now, he was attacked right after that collar broke, and he was trying to secure the door, and he was grabbed by the zombie. Well, and it was very quick, and he didn't have much time to do anything. Again, wrong place at the wrong time, and normally wrong place, wrong time kills. I go down the middle and give that person 2 nails in a coffin. However, here, I do want to give him an extra half a nail since he begged Steele to kill him, not wanting to turn into one of those things. I mean, his throat was ripped out, which had to be painful as hell, and he knew he was a goner, and he didn't want to turn, so I'm going to give him an extra half nail in the coffin and not really blame him for firing his weapon wildly because he was attacked. It wasn't his fault. During this little skirmish, Miguel snaps, screaming, "I didn't do it!" So he charges at a zombie, knocking it to the ground, and he tries to kill the creature with his pole, but he falls down and the zombie takes a chunk out of his arm. He takes off running. Guess he didn't want to go out like Private Miller. Sarah catches up to him right as John grabs him. She takes a rock and hits him on the back of the head to knock him unconscious. Once he's on the ground, she takes out a machete and cuts off his wounded arm before the infection can spread anymore. Dr. Logan is next on the chopping block. Captain Rhodes found out that the doctor was using the corpses of his platoon for his Frankenstein experiments, trying to control the zombies. He was also feeding Bub, the famous zombie, some of the flesh from Captain Rhodes' men. Rhodes caught the doctor red-handed. He sees the body of one of his guys in the walk-in, and while the doctor is trying to tell the captain, "You must listen," Captain Rhodes has another idea, and he just blows the wacko doctor away. Dr. Logan earned himself 1 nail in the coffin. This was all his fault if he wasn't such an unscrupulous piece of crap doctor. Rhodes would have had no reason to kill him. The doctor knowingly experimented on the corpses of his military outfit. He was feeding Bub pieces of their flesh. He had no morals or integrity at all. Now, don't get me wrong, Captain Rhodes is no Boy Scout, but I see why he killed Dr. Logan, and I probably would have done the same thing. The doctor was pretty much asking for it, and that's why I'm only going to give him 1 nail in the coffin. Captain Rhodes and his men collect all the weapons from the civilians, and they go find John. Rhodes is telling John to turn over his weapons or he'll kill Dr. Fisher. John turns over his weapons, and Rhodes tells him that they're all leaving. John says the helicopter can't hold everybody. Captain Rhodes knows that and says it's only him and his men are leaving. John said he won't fly him out there like that, so then Captain Rhodes shoots Dr. Fisher in the head. I'm going to give Dr. Fisher 2 nails in a coffin. I just didn't see him do anything stupid here. He was killed when John didn't follow Captain Rhodes' orders. I mean, there wasn't much he could do. He was unarmed and outmanned. I mean, he was unaware that Dr. Logan was feeding the remains to the squad to Bub, and he was pretty much a poor victim of circumstance here, and I feel he pretty much just deserves those 2 nails in the coffin. We're already at the climax that closes out George Romero's original Living Dead trilogy. Private Miguel Salazar has started up the large cargo elevator going up topside where there are hundreds of zombies. He opens the gate, letting them into the compound. He then leads the horde to the elevator, starts it, setting it down, and he lays on the ground as the horde mauls him. I thought about this one for a moment, and I'm going to bestow Miguel with half a nail in the coffin. He unalived himself, and obviously he wasn't mentally stable. I get that. He was just done with everything. However, there was no good reason for him to let all the zombies into the bunker. He did know Zara, Bill, and John wouldn't be able to get free. And I think it's a bullshit thing to do, even if he didn't like Captain Rhodes' squad. I felt there was a chicken shit thing to do, and it just never sat right with me because he's punishing everybody, and everybody just didn't deserve to be punished at that point. And plus, when he attacked that one zombie, he was just careless with it. So that's why I'm only going to give him half a nail in the coffin. Zombies have flooded into the bunker, and it looks amazing. Really fun scene right here. All 4 remaining army guys are scrambling. Private Torres is running from horde, climbing over some pallets, trying to get away. He does get cornered and eventually overwhelmed by the undead, and there's nowhere else for him to run, and he has his head ripped off before he is eaten. Private Torres gets 2.5 nails in a coffin. Now, he was vastly outnumbered, but I didn't see much what else he could have done. All his weapons were just gone. He didn't have any on him at the point, and he did run trying to get away over pallets, which was a good idea. He just got himself cornered when he was trying to get away, but he was vastly outnumbered. But he never really gave up or did anything inherently stupid. He did what he could when he was faced with hundreds of zombies. And so, yeah, I'm going to give him a little bit of credit for that, which is why I'm giving him 2.5 nails in the coffin. On to Private Rickles. He's running from a horde. He has his rifle, but he runs out of rounds, and there's nowhere else for him to run. He does get surrounded. He uses his last remaining rounds of his pistol as they're closing in on him, but they do rip him apart and eat him. Rickles was kind of manic at the end. He was kind of losing it, but I'm going to give him 1.5 nails in the coffin. I think he was too unhinged at the end. Private Torres kind of kept his stuff together the best he could. Rickles didn't. I think if he focused, he may have had a better chance. At least I would have given him more nails. But I've never been chased by a horde of zombies before in a bunker. It was in a hospital and it was a dream, so. Anyways, I think he was too careless at the end, which is why the best I can really do is give him 1.5 nails in the coffin. Let me know what you think. What would you have given Private Rickles? The hits keep coming, and Private Steele is next to die. He's spraying and praying some zombies, not really hitting any of them in the head, just in the body. Rhodes had locked a door on Steele, so he shoots the lockout. But once inside, he runs down a hallway, but there's a horde of zombies is right behind him. He hides in a room, and Bud is walking by a window. He's waiting to shoot Bub, but that was a mistake. There are zombies in that room, and one bites into his neck. Steele's able to shoot a few more zombies in the head before being totally overrun. Knowing he's a goner, he does turn the gun on himself. This one was a little tougher to rate than I thought. I was going back and forth, but I finally settled on awarding Private Steele 1.5 nails in a coffin. For the same reason as Private Rickles, I feel he was a little too reckless at the end. He was wasting time shooting zombies in the body. He knew you had to go for the head to actually put them down. Yet he never aimed his weapon. I don't think the spraying and praying was an effective shooting strategy against zombies. He also wasted time to shoot Bub in the head when I was walking by the window. Why? I just think that was very stupid. I did give him an extra half a nail in the coffin for unaliving himself and going out without turning. So I give him a little bit of credit for that. So 1.5 nails in the coffin. Here we are, ladies and ghouls, the last set of nails for a Day of the Dead. And we all know it is. Captain Rhodes. He's in the armory grabbing a load of weapons. Anything he can carry. Rifles, magazines. But when he leaves, he does run into Bub at the end of the hallway. Before he can load his weapon and get a shot off on Bub, who has a pistol of his own, shoots Rhodes in the shoulder, and when Captain Rhodes runs away, he does drop his magazines. The injured Captain Rhodes is running away from Bub, who's continuing to follow and shoot at him, hitting him in the leg. Rhodes is now crawling away, and he's running out of places to go. He does pull himself up and goes to the door at the end of the hall, but he's in for a big surprise when he opens the door, only to see a crap load of the undead. He turns around, screaming at an excellent shot, and Bub shoots him in the gut. Bubs gives the captain one final salute as the zombies rip Captain in half, and as they're eating him, he does give them one final message. Captain Rhodes gets the final set of nails, and he earned himself 1.5 nails in a coffin. It was a big mistake for him not to load his rifle when he was in the armory. I didn't see any reason for him to leave that room without at least one loaded weapon, if not multiple. That was his downfall, which gave Bub a chance to shoot him. If he had loaded his rifle, he easily could have taken Bub out before he was even thought to be shot. So he got shot getting shot both times slowed him down and caused him to get cornered with the undead. I just think it was plain stupid, and the only reason I'm going to give them that extra half a nail was his final words to the zombie after already being ripped in half. Told him to choke on it, so give him a little extra half a nail for that. So that leaves him with 1.5 nails in the coffin. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all my nails in the coffin for Day of the Dead. Here's a summary of all the nails I've awarded. Here is the average nails in a coffin, which is 1.67 nails, a little bit higher than I expected. I had predicted 1.53, so just a little bit off. But going over these kills, I think it fits well. Most of the deaths were the military guys, and some of them it really wasn't their fault. And a couple of them I did give that extra half a nail for pretty much going out the way that they wanted to go out, which, you know, I'm sure to raise that average up just a little bit. Here's how all three of George Romero's original Living Dead trilogy nails in the coffin compare. You can see Night of the Living Dead 1.71, Dawn 1.5, and we just talked about Day, which had another 1.67. All in all, somewhat close to each other, which is what I kind of expected from this franchise. Next week, I will have my Golden Nail Awards, where I will go over my favorite 1, 2, and 3 nail death, as well as give you a ranking of these films, and that won't take a lot of time. And I'll move on to something else after that. I'm not going to cover the follow-on movies, because I really don't like them. But we all know this original trilogy is the best by far. But I'll see you next week. I hope you guys are all doing well. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know, all the usual stuff. Until then, take care, stay safe, be good to yourselves, and be good to each other. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. Remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.